The fluorescent lights of TechSpark Innovations hummed, a monotonous soundtrack to another Tuesday morning. Rows of desks stretched into the distance, occupied by diligent employees tapping away at keyboards. Except for one corner, where a young man, barely out of his university years, was slumped over his desk, fast asleep. His name was Rohan Sharma, a junior engineer, and to most, he was just another face in the crowd. The CEO's daughter, Anya Petrova, a recent graduate eager to prove herself, was on a tour of the company. Her sharp eyes scanned the room, taking in every detail. She noticed Rohan immediately, a figure of apparent indolence amidst the flurry of activity. A frown creased her brow. This wasn't the work ethic her father had instilled in his company. Without hesitation, Anya approached Rohan's desk. She cleared her throat, a sound that went unheard. Impatience flickered in her eyes. She tapped his shoulder. Rohan startled awake, his eyes bleary and confused. Anya, her voice cool and authoritative, informed him of his immediate dismissal. Just like that, his job, his sense of security, vanished. An hour later, the lights flickered and died. The hum of the computers ceased. A collective groan rippled through the office. The power was out. This wasn't just a minor inconvenience. TechSpark Innovations relied heavily on a constant power supply for its servers, its data, its very existence. Panic began to set in. The immediate aftermath of the power outage was unsettling, a sudden hush falling over the normally bustling office. Keyboards went silent, monitors flickered and died, leaving behind dark, reflective screens. A collective murmur of disbelief and then growing anxiety rippled through the rows of desks. Phones, those ubiquitous tools of modern communication, became inert bricks. The intricate digital network that formed the very backbone of TechSpark Innovations had abruptly ceased to function. Each failed attempt to restart the system amplified the sense of dread. Engineers, their brows furrowed in concentration, moved with increasing urgency, their efforts yielding no results. The air in the server room, usually humming with the cool efficiency of technology, grew warm and still, carrying the faint, acrid smell of burnt-out components. Every tick of the clock represented a significant financial hemorrhage, a stark and brutal reminder of the company's already precarious financial footing. The potential for irreversible data loss loomed large, a catastrophic threat to years of work and intellectual property. The weight of this technological paralysis pressed down on everyone, a suffocating blanket of uncertainty and fear for the future. Standing amidst the growing chaos, Anya felt a cold knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. The decisive action she had taken just hours before now felt like a monumental blunder, a rash judgment with potentially devastating consequences. The faces of the distraught employees mirrored her own rising panic. When her father, the CEO, finally arrived, his usual aura of calm authority was visibly shaken. Deep lines of worry etched his forehead as he surveyed the darkened office. The company's existing debt had been a constant source of stress, a heavy weight on his shoulders, and this unforeseen crisis threatened to push them beyond the point of no return. The potential ramifications, job losses, the collapse of his life's work, hung heavy in the air, a palpable burden that silenced the usual flurry of activity around him. He moved through the office like a ghost, his strained silence speaking volumes about the gravity of the situation. Anya watched him, a profound sense of guilt and a dawning understanding of the true weight of her actions washing over her. As the hours stretched into a seemingly endless night, illuminated only by the dim glow of emergency lights, a palpable sense of desperation settled over TechSpark Innovations. The remaining engineers, fueled by lukewarm coffee and sheer determination, worked tirelessly, their faces pale with exhaustion. Each failed diagnostic test, each fruitless attempt to trace the fault, chipped away at their dwindling reserves of hope. The arrival of external specialists, heralded as a potential turning point, offered only a brief flicker of optimism before their bewildered expressions mirrored the internal despair. The financial losses continued to mount at an alarming rate, an invisible but relentless drain on the company's already precarious resources. The once vibrant office, a hub of innovation and collaboration, now felt like a tomb of broken circuits and shattered aspirations. The silence, punctuated by the frustrated sighs and hushed conversations of the exhausted engineers, was heavy with the unspoken fear of what the dawn might bring. The weight of the potential collapse of the company hung heavy in the air, a suffocating blanket of despair that threatened to extinguish the last embers of hope. Days crawled by, each marked by the fruitless efforts of the exhausted engineers and the grim pronouncements of the external experts. The initial flurry of activity had given way to a heavy, resigned silence. Yet, amidst this pervasive gloom, a flicker of memory sparked in the mind of Mr. Davies, a senior engineer who had witnessed the company's evolution over decades. He vaguely recalled a series of late-night modifications Rowan, the recently dismissed junior engineer, had made to the main power distribution unit weeks prior. At the time, he had dismissed them as the enthusiastic tinkering of a young, perhaps overly eager, mind. However, a fleeting conversation resurfaced, Rowan mentioning something about optimizing the energy flow and implementing a unique bypass system for maintenance. The details were hazy, almost dreamlike, but in the current crisis, even the faintest glimmer of a possible solution was worth pursuing. A long shot, perhaps, but all other avenues had led to dead ends. A hesitant phone call was placed, the number retrieved from old employee records. Rowan, now navigating the precarious landscape of unemployment, piecing together a living through odd jobs, answered with a wary tone. On the other end, Mr. Davies' voice, usually steady and calm, was laced with an uncharacteristic urgency, almost a note of desperation. He explained the dire situation, the complete power failure, the mounting losses, and then, almost sheepishly, mentioned his recollection of Rowan's modifications. There was no accusation, only a plea for help, a recognition that the very person they had dismissed might hold the key to their salvation. The request hung in the air, thick with unspoken regret and a desperate hope. Rowan listened in stunned silence. The memory of Anya's cold dismissal, the abrupt end to his promising career at TechSpark, still carried a sharp sting. A part of him wanted to refuse, to let them grapple with the consequences of their hasty judgment. Yet, as Mr. Davies's voice cracked with the weight of the company's potential collapse, another feeling stirred within him. He thought of his former colleagues, the familiar faces now etched with worry, their livelihoods hanging in the balance. His inherent sense of responsibility, a deep-seated desire to help, ultimately outweighed his personal resentment. With a sigh that carried a mixture of reluctance and resolve, he agreed to return. Not for the company that had so easily discarded him, not for the CEO or his daughter, but for the people, the hard-working individuals whose futures were now intertwined with the fate of TechSpark Innovations. Stepping back into the dimly lit office felt like entering a ghost of his former life. The usual hum of activity was replaced by an oppressive silence, broken only by the low drone of the emergency generators powering a few essential lights. The air was thick with the stale scent of unwashed coffee cups and a palpable sense of desperation. Familiar faces, now etched with worry and exhaustion, turned towards him as he walked through the rows of silent workstations. He made his way directly to the power control room, a cramped space filled with a bewildering array of wires, circuit boards, and blinking lights. His eyes, however, scanned the complex network with a focused intensity, a flicker of the knowledge that had once been so readily dismissed now his potential lifeline. Inside the control room, surrounded by the anxious gazes of the senior engineers, Rowan worked in a focused silence. His fingers, surprisingly steady despite the weight of the situation, moved with an almost intuitive familiarity across the intricate panels. He traced the flow of energy, his mind replaying the diagrams he had meticulously crafted weeks ago. He remembered the exact moment of inspiration, a late night fueled by caffeine and a relentless pursuit of efficiency, when the idea for the bypass system had sparked. It had been a seemingly minor tweak, an optimization that he had hoped would showcase his ingenuity. Now, that overlooked modification was the only potential key to unlocking the company's paralysis. Hours ticked by, each marked by the hushed whispers of the onlookers and the soft clicks of Rowan's tools against the metal panels. The tension in the room was almost palpable. Anya watched from the doorway, her initial arrogance completely gone, replaced by a growing sense of unease and a reluctant admiration for his unwavering concentration. Doubts gnawed at her. Could this young man, whom she had so readily dismissed, truly possess the solution to such a complex crisis? Yet, as she observed his methodical approach, the quiet confidence in his movements, a fragile seed of hope began to sprout within her. The weight of her earlier decision pressed down on her, a stark reminder of the human cost of snap judgments. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a soft but distinct click echoed in the tense silence of the control room. Rowan straightened up, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple. He took a deep breath and nodded slowly. A low hum began to emanate from the main power unit, a sound that had been absent for days and now resonated with the promise of revival. The fluorescent lights flickered hesitantly, then steadied, casting a pale glow on the relieved faces around him. One by one, the monitors on the nearby desks flickered to life, their screens displaying the familiar interfaces that had been dark for so long. A collective sigh of relief swept through the office, a wave of pent-up anxiety finally breaking. The servers, the very heart of TechSpark Innovations, whirred back into action. The flow of data, the lifeblood of the company, resumed its steady rhythm. Systems that had been stubbornly offline sprang back to life. TechSpark Innovations, teetering on the brink of collapse, was breathing again. The immediate crisis had been averted, the looming threat of irreversible damage had receded, all thanks to the quiet expertise of the young engineer who had been so swiftly dismissed, a testament to the unpredictable nature of salvation. Anya approached Rowan, her steps hesitant, her expression a complex blend of humility and profound gratitude. The arrogance that had defined her earlier encounter was nowhere to be seen, replaced by a genuine remorse. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft and sincere as she apologized for her impulsive decision, acknowledging the gravity of her mistake and the potential consequences it could have had. Rowan, though the sting of her dismissal still lingered, met her gaze with a quiet understanding. He accepted her apology with a simple nod, his actions speaking louder than words. He hadn't sought her validation then, and he didn't need it now. His focus had been on fixing the problem, on helping the people who had become his colleagues. The CEO, Anya's father, arrived shortly after the power was fully restored, the tension etched on his face visibly easing as he took in the scene of renewed activity. Relief washed over him as he saw the light shining brightly and heard the familiar hum of the servers. He walked directly to Rowan, his hand outstretched, his grip firm and genuinely grateful as he shook the young engineer's hand. He offered Rowan his old job back, not as a junior engineer, but with a significant promotion, recognizing his invaluable contribution. Along with the promotion came a heartfelt apology, an acknowledgement of the misjudgment and a sincere expression of gratitude for his selfless act. Rowan accepted the offer, a quiet sense of vindication settling within him. He had proven his worth not through boardroom presentations or strategic planning sessions, but through his practical skills and his ability to remain calm and resourceful under immense pressure. He had single-handedly pulled the company back from the precipice of disaster. His value was no longer in question. He had moved from being an overlooked junior engineer to a crucial asset, his expertise now recognized and respected by everyone within the company. Life at TechSpark Innovations slowly began to return to its familiar rhythm, but the near catastrophe had left an indelible mark. A newfound respect permeated the office, a recognition that every employee, regardless of their position or perceived status, possessed the potential to contribute in significant ways. Anya, in particular, had undergone a profound shift in perspective, learning a harsh but valuable lesson about the dangers of snap judgments and the importance of looking beyond superficial appearances. The crisis had inadvertently fostered a deeper sense of camaraderie and interdependence among the employees, a shared experience that had forged unexpected bonds. Rowan, now occupying a position of greater responsibility and influence, continued his work with the same quiet dedication that had always characterized his approach. He didn't seek accolades or the spotlight, content to focus on the intricacies of the technology that fascinated him. However, his actions during the power crisis had spoken volumes, earning him the respect and admiration of his colleagues. He had become a living testament to the fact that true competence often resides in unexpected places and that profound impact can be achieved without fanfare or self-promotion. His quiet competence became an unspoken standard within the company. The shared experience of the near collapse had woven unexpected threads through the fabric of TechSpark Innovations. Hierarchies seemed less rigid, and lines of communication became more open. The crisis had stripped away pretenses, revealing the shared vulnerability and the collective strength of the individuals who comprised the company. Even the dynamic between Anya and Rowan underwent a subtle transformation. The initial antagonism had dissolved, replaced by a tentative understanding and a mutual respect that hinted at a deeper, perhaps unexpected, connection. They had both seen each other in moments of intense pressure, and a silent acknowledgement of their shared experience now existed between them. The shadow of the company debt still lingered, a constant reminder of the precarious financial situation. However, the immediate existential threat had been averted, buying TechSpark Innovations crucial time and an unexpected surge of internal unity. The story of the seemingly insignificant brown engineer who had saved the company became an enduring legend within its walls, a powerful anecdote shared during onboarding sessions and whispered during moments of doubt. It served as a constant reminder that appearances could be profoundly deceiving and that extraordinary talent often reveals itself in the most unforeseen circumstances, often when everything else seems lost. The journey through young adulthood is rarely a straight path. It's a winding road filled with unexpected detours, moments of exhilarating triumph, and humbling encounters with our own limitations and the complexities of the world around us. It's a period defined by navigating the intricate web of human relationships, grappling with the increasing weight of responsibility, and discovering hidden reserves of strength in the face of adversity. It's a continuous process of learning and adaptation, of forging our identities, and of finding our place within the larger tapestry of life, often in ways we could never have predicted. The challenges we face during these formative years often shape the individuals we become, revealing capacities we never knew we possessed. The human spirit possesses an extraordinary capacity for resilience, for innovation, and for selfless action. Often, the most profound contributions come not from those in positions of power or authority, but from individuals working quietly in the background, their talents overlooked until a critical moment demands their unique skills. The story of TechSpark Innovations serves as a potent reminder to look beyond surface appearances, to value the potential within every individual, and to cultivate a culture of inclusivity where diverse talents can flourish. It underscores the truth that true strength lies not just in leadership, but in the collective abilities and the unexpected heroism that can emerge from any corner of an organization, from any individual. And so, the tale of Rohan Sharma, the unassuming engineer, becomes more than just a company anecdote. It evolves into a quiet testament to the power of individual skill, the importance of looking beyond first impressions, and the profound impact one person can have when given a chance, even after being seemingly dismissed. It whispers a message of hope and the possibility of redemption, highlighting the unexpected ways in which solutions can emerge and how even the most challenging circumstances can pave the way for unexpected growth and connection. The hum of TechSpark Innovations continued, a little louder, a little more resonant, carrying the unspoken lesson of the brown guy who, in saving the company, perhaps saved a little part of everyone within it.